Penn State Gymnastics. A history of grace, power, precision, and excellence. Two programs rich with tradition, two programs with lofty goals in their sights. Penn State Gymnastics, ready to accept the next challenge. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Bryce Jordan Center on the University Park campus of the Pennsylvania State University. It's gymnastics time, double dual meet variety, as the Penn State men's team takes on the Michigan Wolverines and the Penn State women's team takes on George Washington University. I'm honored to have both coaches with me here, Randy Jepson of the Nittany Lions and Steve Shepard of the women's team. And Randy, let's start with you. First of all, the Big Ten, perennially one of the strongest conferences in the country. Is it that way again this year?
It's a dogfight, right from the top all the way down. Number 2 down through number 5 are in the Big Ten. In fact, we'll be facing number 4 Michigan tonight. Last weekend we lost a close one to Illinois, who was ranked number 3. Next week we're back in the fire again with Ohio State. They're number 2. It doesn't get any better than that.
Well, the competition's outstanding, needless to say. Where is your team right now? Are you pleased with where they are as you start to head into the second half of the season?
I'm really very pleased with the start we've had. Mid-season we're really pretty healthy, and coming into these key meets, guys are really starting to prepare for the postseason, but they're not overlooking these mid-season meets because obviously, there's a lot of bragging rights in the Big Ten.
Sure there are. Good luck tonight.
Thanks.
Okay, let's move over to Steve Shepard, the head coach of the women's team. And Steve, last week an outstanding performance, a tri-meet in which you scored your season high. Does that make you feel pretty good?
Yes, that was a great meet at West Virginia. We were very pleased with how the team performed. We're hoping to do it again tonight.
When you take a look at gymnastics, it's an individual sport. How important is leadership, whether it's somebody jumping in somebody's face or just leading by example? How important is that in an individual sport?
Well, it is an individual sport, but we train as a team, and the girls are all held accountable to each other. So leadership is very critical, and we've got some great leadership in all of the girls, but especially in our team captains, Kate Stopper and Meredith Hoover. They've been doing a tremendous job helping move the younger kids along and actually motivating everyone and really doing a nice job.
Well, Steve, best of luck tonight.
Thanks, Jerry.
Okay, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll have the start of the action. It's the Penn State men's and women's gymnastics team, and we'll be back with the start of tonight's action after this on the Penn State Sports Network. And welcome back to the Bryce Jordan Center for tonight's double dual meet. The Nittany Lions and the Nittany Lions, the men taking on Michigan, while the women are taking on George Washington here in a venue that's being used because of the dance marathon across campus. I'd like to welcome my two cohorts today, Ian Shelley to my left and Aaron Clayton to my right, both former Nittany Lion gymnasts. Ian, what to look for tonight in this big meet between two top teams?
Well, I think you're going to see a very exciting meet tonight. You've got two top-ranked teams, obviously, 4th and 5th, both coming off of losses from last week, so I think they're really going to be hungry. And what it comes down to tonight is just a matter of consistency. They're equally talented. Whoever hits the best, I think, is going to come away with a win.
All right, let's move over to Aaron. Aaron, also a former Nittany Lion gymnast. Aaron, when you take a look at this meet, we talked about this with Steve Shepard. They're coming off a season-high score last week in a tri-meet. Does that carry over?
Oh, I think it's a great motivator. Definitely. West Virginia hosted last weekend, Penn State and Ball State. We beat both teams, and it's just a huge motivational tactic to come into this meet.
Is it a rarity for them to hit every event like I heard they did? Hit every routine, that is?
Oh, no, we definitely can do it.
Okay. All right, we're going to get started with the men's competition tonight, and the Penn State Nittany Lions taking on the Michigan Wolverines. Penn State ranked 5th and Michigan ranked number 4. If you wonder about the Big Ten, it is again an outstanding conference. Teams 2, 3, 4, and 5 all from the Big Ten. So the competition is going to be good. As you can see, we're going to go into the floor exercise.
Yeah, this is Matt Cohen with his opening tumble run. Oh, and he bubbled a little bit there. He's had a little bit of inconsistency on the floor, and this is a really good event for Randy's team. We're going to need to see a good start, especially from some of these youngsters. At this moment, he's getting through. He's probably got a little jitters here, but he's picking it up nicely now into a Russian spindle, to a split. Looks like he's calming down a little bit now. He's going to do his press to a handstand. Going to have to need a momentary pause here. Going to work his way into the corner. And they're going to be looking for some big dismount here. Well, this is his third tumble, actually. Nope, that's it. Okay, well, Matt Cohen comes through with a clean routine. I think it's not a bad start for Penn State.
Matt is a sophomore from Cohoes, New York, Shaker High School. And we'll wait and see what kind of a score he gets as we move on to the pommel horse and some more men's competition.
So the key to for some of these, well, for both of these teams, is really to get good starts, and he's off already. And it's real key for these youngsters to get up and hit the routines. It really sets the momentum for the rest of the meet.
This is Andre Hernandez, a sophomore from Round Rock, Texas. And what about this venue, Ian? The fact that they compete in rec hall all the time, does this have any effect on the either of the Penn State teams?
I think it does. It makes a little difference. Penn State, especially when I competed there, was a very, very friendly crowd. You always feel really good. Right there, you're right with the audience. Here, it's obviously a little bit bigger, so yeah, it can make a difference.
Moving over to the floor exercise, this is Matt Bowman. Oh, I'm sorry, that's not Matt Bowman. Yes, it is Matt Bowman. Stepping up on the floor, he is a sophomore from Houston, Texas.
And this is going to be a really important routine. 8-2 for the first score for Penn State. That's a little clean amount. One thing that's really changed since I was a gymnast is a lot of routines that involve a lot of rebound activities, forward passes. And that's gonna hurt him a little bit there. That was a 2.5 twist into a punch front, but he over-rotated. He's really going to need to settle down here. There's a nice clean press.
Do these teams feel the pressure of of going up against top-notch competition?
Yeah, you hope it brings out the best in you. I mean, these are two very high-ranked teams. You've got a lot of youngsters on the team, but you've also got some really experienced gymnasts. Obviously, Luis Vargas, one of the key players, probably one of the most talented team members ever to come out of Penn State. A lot of international experience. Those guys are going to be key tonight. And he finished up very nicely there. I think that's going to help his score a little bit.
Well, Penn State got off a little shaky on their first two exercises here on the floor, but we're going to see if they can rebound from that. Let's move over to the women's side, and this will be Jen Orlando on the vault. Aaron, why don't you take us through this vault?
Well, Jen does a Yurchenko full, which is a 10-0 start value. It's a very nice vault, a little short on the landing. Took a step forward, that'll cost her deduction.
So Penn State, the women on the vault, the men on the floor exercise to start the competition here at the Bryce Jordan Center. And Matt Bowman's routine is being discussed by the judges, so we won't get a score on that for a little bit. Looks like Jerry Signorelli is getting set to go up on the pommel horse for the Michigan Wolverines.
I think he actually, I think he just fell off. So that's two guys out for Michigan that have fallen, and that hurts your momentum.
Boy, I'll say.
It's really tough to come back from that. So let's see how he finishes up here. Signorelli is one of the key players for Michigan. He's really been scoring well this season. Very nice clean routine here. Apart from the fall, this would have been a nice score. Yeah, he missed his dismount a little bit there too. So.
Okay, and you see Signorelli finishing. Back over to the vault we go. And
this is Amy Olis. She was a little low on the horse, which also caused her to land short, which is about a 10th deduction for the vault.
We've seen both of those, the first two vaulters for Penn State, come up a little short.
Yes,
any reason,
girls.
I mean, anything you can think of why to be short on the first two vaults?
Sometimes it's just nerves. It's a big venue here at Bryce Jordan Center. We're used to rec hall at home, and I think the girls are just a little nervous, but hopefully we can pick it up and keep the momentum going and for the next four vaults.
Back over to the floor exercise, Olympian Luis Vargas.
Yeah, that was a good clean mount. That's what Penn State needed. This routine could really pick them up here. That's too bad. That's really gonna hurt.
No, he tried to cover that, but the judges aren't going to fall for that, are they?
No, but that's beautiful flare work there. Really clean exercise now into a split. Yeah, Randy sort of considers this piece one of his more consistent events, and at this point we're really not seeing that. So every 10th here now is going to count.
We've seen both of the men's teams get off to a bit of a shaky start. A couple falls on the pommel horse from Michigan, and Penn State has been anything but clean on the floor so far.
Well, if we can finish up nicely here, we could come away with at least a reasonable score.
Pretty good dismount.
Okay, double twist to end for Luis.
Luis Vargas representing Puerto Rico in the Olympic Games that were held recently in Athens, Greece.
Yeah, 15th. That's just absolutely outstanding position for Vargas to come. That's just probably one of the highest, I think, in Penn State history.
All right, Michigan on the pommel horse. And this is Aaron Rakes.
He's getting his Russians there. He's a little bit slow, and that can be difficult, but he's muscling his way through here. Keeping it reasonably clean at this point. Staying on. Works into his scissor work. He's looking for his dismount. Travels down. A little bit of a stall on the dismount there, but he finishes with a full twist. Not a bad routine. That's going to help him.
So at least they got through a clean routine. It may not have been sparkling, but
yep, that's what they
needed that to get him going.
They really did, yeah. You need some momentum here, and it's a bit slow to start.
Over to the floor exercise once again for the Nittany Lion men's team, and this will be Santiago Lopez.
And Lopez has a lot of international experience, competes for his home country of Mexico, and this is one of his better events. 2.5 twist rebound into the punch front, punch full twist. I think he may have just gone out the floor exercise there. That will cost him a 10th. Back with a round off Rudolph. Oh, a little stuttery there too. So at this point, no one's really done a really clean routine. There's some nice circle work on the floor there. Obviously adapted from the pommel horse. Into a press handstand. A nice hold. Into his third tumble here. Usually not the biggest of the tumble runs, the third one, just to work back into the corner.
It's pretty much to set you up for the final tumble run.
It really is, yeah. Gives you a little breather. And here we're looking for a big dismount. Okay, a flip back into a double twist. And really not a bad routine for Lopez. They're starting to settle down a little bit now.
Here's a good look at one of the tumbling runs.
Round off, 2.5 twist, rebound over a punch front, and a punch full twist. This is where you really get a lot of your... Yeah, he is just out there. I don't know if the judges saw that. You can see that on the replay, but maybe he got away with it.
Well, the vault is one of the strong points of this Penn State women's team. And we're going to get set for Kate Stopper's vault, as she's going to be coming right at you.
Kate's is a very unique vault. It's a square vault, piked square vault. Not many athletes do that anymore. Very nice vault. Small hop on the landing, but all in all, it was high. It was very beautiful.
I'm going to be a judge and saw some feet come apart a little bit. Will the judges see something like that?
They will. They was slightly apart, but the vault was very, very nicely executed and very high, so it should be a very small deduction.
All right. Back over to the floor exercise for the Nittany Lions. This will be Steve Tobin. Tobin is a senior from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. And
Penn State's going to be looking for a big score from Tobin. This is one of his better events. I think he had a season high of 9-3 at the Big Ten Championships last year. And looks like Penn State's got a 9 on that last routine. So now we're starting to break into some higher scores. And if Tobin can put in a good one here, I think that can really help. I just saw the Michigan guy fall off pommel, so really Penn State could take full advantage of this now.
When you travel around in a lot of sports, you go to different regions, you see different types of officials and umpires and referees, et cetera, et cetera. Do you see that type of thing in gymnastics where something may be scored a lot differently in one area than it is somewhere else, or are they pretty consistent?
Certainly. I mean, it's a human sport. It's something that can really, be influenced by certain things. Obviously, the home field advantage here today is going to help Penn State. And you see this all around the world, from the lowest competitions all the way up to the international competitions. You hope it's as even, as fair as possible, but of course, when you're on Penn State's team, you want it to be a little bit more biased towards you today.
Okay, rounding things out on the vault for the Penn State women's team is Lisa Clark. And Lisa Clark, we're checking to see, here she goes. She's getting ready to vault, and she's the cleanup person.
Lisa's a great vaulter. She actually represented Penn State last year at the national championships on vault. She does Yurchenko full. It's very high, very nice form. And stuck on the landing.
Based by her reaction, I think she's pretty pleased with that.
I would agree. It's a great vault.
Now, is that a 10-0 vault to start?
It's a 10-0 start value, and she really had very, very few deductions.
All right, let's go back over to floor exercise, Ian, and Steve Tobin.
There's Tobin on his second pass, 1.5 twist, punch front, punch Rudy. Now that was good. There's 2 big tumble runs here he's done. A lot of combination, a lot of added bonus marks, and that's what you're looking for. Here's his third tumble, just a round off Arabian front. Slows down a little bit to catch his breath, does some circle work here. These are called Russians. Everything's slowing down a little bit.
Now, these are all prerequisites that must be...
Some required elements, yeah. Press and a hold. Here he's doing it with wide arm press. Makes it a little bit more difficult, certainly harder to hold. Works his way into the corner. Okay, if he can get a good stuck landing here, we're looking at a pretty good score for Penn State. Whip back, a little double twist, and there you go. That's what we were looking for today. I think Tobin's going to come away with a nice score there. Team looks a little better off now.
Andrew DeGiori for the Michigan Wolverines, coming up on Pommel Horse.
They've had a tough time on Pommel Horse so far, so he's done a Magyar down. He's losing a little form here, but he's muscling his way through it. It's a Russian work, and that's going to get him some bonus points. Yeah, he's starting to pick up a little bit now into his scissor work. This is sort of the mid part of the routine. He's looking for a good dismount here, and this could help him out a lot. Yeah, he was working his way off there a little bit too quickly. Lost his shoulders and he was out, so he may have to re-chalk and take his 30 seconds and get a dismount out of this.
The rankings in gymnastics on both the men's and the women's sides are not subject to opinion or thoughts. They are based on scores that have been achieved. Is that correct? Okay, let's go back to...
Okay, we're going to go to the replay here. Yeah, you see his shoulders are just slightly out. He's lost form. And he's over. Yeah, that's just an awful feeling, especially at the end of a routine when you've done a reasonably good routine. So here we go. See if he picks it up. He'll just jump a couple of circles and he'll be off.
The cleanup man for the Penn State Nittany Lions on floor exercise is Chad Busick. A very powerful tumbler, to say the least, as he gets set to step up onto the floor exercise.
Yeah, he's had 3 9.4s in his last season. He's the key guy on floor. And judging by his warm-up, we're going to see something here. Rudy, punch layout, punch double front. That's a lot of bonus points right there.
How much deduction for that step to the side? Maybe a 10th?
Probably a 10th, yeah. 2.5 twist, punch front, punch full twist.
Wow.
Very nice work. Yeah, and this is the kind of stuff that's changed a lot on floor. You're seeing a lot of these forward tumble passes. Great strength element. He's got a nice tattoo on his leg there too. Might get some bonus points for the Penn State mark there. The tumble run. A lot of them seem to choose that one. It must be one of the easier ones just to get you into the corner there. And my feeling is we'll see big powerful dismount here. Round off, whip back into a double twist. Just a slight bubble on the landing, but that's good. That's good and clean. That'll help Penn State.
Chad Busick, a junior from Bridgewater, Massachusetts. And we're going to move over to get our first look at the Colonials of George Washington. And this will be Tiffany Jones going up on the bars for the Colonials. Jones is a junior. She's from Ravenna, Iowa. Or Ohio, I beg your pardon.
Tiffany was one of George Washington's top scorers last year on bars in several of the events. It was a nice release. Reverse to Kachev. She took an extra swing. That'll definitely cost her a deduction. Nice handstand hit there. She's coming up on her dismount here. Tiffany does a double A, which is a very, very hard dismount. Oh.
A little bit short.
A little bit short, and that fall will definitely cost her.
And you can see her teammates coming out. You can hear a lot of cheering in the background. And back when I went to school, which was a long time ago, you were to be quiet and not to make a lot of noise while the events were going on. Things have certainly changed over the years. You guys are going nuts out there.
Oh, the women, we cheer so loudly. It's great motivation for the girls. It keeps them really pumped up and energetic, and it's just, cheering is definitely key to the competition.
Well, the men's team has finished on the floor exercise. The women's Nittany Lion team have finished on the vault. As you get a good look at the Bryce Jordan Center, and there are the scores, led by Meredith Hoover's 9.7, Jen Orlando at 9.5, Amy Oleas at 9.35, Lindsay Borkin a 9.875, Kate Stopper 9.65, and Lisa Clark a 9.9, a 48.65. That's a good start for the women's team.
Yes, it is. Definitely is.
Now, is that the type of thing that they can keep feeding off of as the night goes along?
Oh, yeah. The night should definitely pick up motivation.
All right, let's move over and check out, as we mentioned, the men finished on the floor exercise. And let's see if we can't take a look at the floor exercise scores for the Penn State men's team as you get a good look at it. Here we go. 8.15 for Matt Cohen, Matt Bowman an 8.25, Louis Vargas an 8.45. As you can see, scores picked up towards the end. Santiago Lopez a 9.05, Tobin with a 9.45, Music with a 9.575, a 36.525 for the first rotation. Ian, your thoughts on that?
Well, they built on Matt Cohen there, and they went all the way through and got a great score at the end, 9.575. I think they're going to be fairly pleased with that, and I think when we compare it with Michigan's pommel horse score, we're going to see them coming out on top here at the moment.
As we saw, Michigan had a lot of problems on the pommel horse, so you would expect, as the Nittany Lion enjoys the action here at the Bryce Jordan Center. And the Penn State Nittany Lions should have the lead. The women's team should have a lead as we finish the first round of competition here at the Bryce Jordan Center. We'll take a timeout. We will be back to the Bryce Jordan Center with more competition as each team moves to a different apparatus. Penn State gymnastics action here at the Bryce Jordan Center. Back with more after this on the Penn State Sports Network. Welcome back to the Bryce Jordan Center. Penn State men's team taking on the Michigan Wolverines in a battle of the 4th and 5th ranked teams in the country. And Ian, as we look at the men's score after one rotation, we see the Penn State has a 36.525, Michigan with a 35.700. What kind of a lead is that in gym? Is that a big lead?
That's a big. If I'm Randy Jepson, I'm feeling pretty happy right now because that's a real good start for Penn State. Yeah.
And the Penn State women's team has moved over to the uneven parallel bars, and here's a pretty good look at Meredith Hoover, and she's one of the leaders on this team.
Meredith Hoover, yeah, she is a junior. She's also a co-captain and a very, very strong bar worker. She swings very nicely. It's very clean. This routine will be great to watch.
Aaron, when they start out in these routines, they put the first person up and they put 6 people up. Is it generally do you generally go from weakest to strongest, or does that depend on what the coach likes to do?
Kind of depends on what the coach likes to do. I know Coach Shepard puts one of his strong girls first, so you can start off with the big score, and then it builds up to get even higher. So definitely our anchor is our strongest, but Meredith's very good at bars.
As you could see there briefly, the women's team off to a pretty good start with a
nice,
big lead.
Straddle over mount to a giant full. It's a beautiful release move. She does right into a shoot. She's coming up on her dismount. Meredith does a very unique dismount. It's very nice, clean. It's a full twisting double back, but it's on the second flip. Just a step on the landing. Very nice routine besides the step on the landing.
And it's a nice one to start things off. It gets the team off on a good note.
It's a great start.
We're going to move over to the vault here in just a moment. And coming up for the George Washington Colonials, this is freshman Carolyn Marcasano from Reston, Virginia.
Carolyn actually recorded a perfect 10 score on vault in her senior year of high school. So she should be a very exciting vault to watch. She does a handspring front pike. She's been doing this vault for quite some time. It's a nice vault, very nice height, just a small step on the landing.
All right, we have found out that is actually Emily Howarth, who is a sophomore from Columbus, Ohio, so we apologize for that. But now we are set for Carolyn Marcasano, and we'll take a look at her vault. This would be Carolyn.
Kaylin does the same vault. Very nice vault. Just a pretty large hop on the landing. Should be a deduction for her.
That vault, a couple of years ago, they went from the horse to that bigger vault. Does that allow gymnasts to do a lot more?
It does. It allows for more room for error in your hands. And it's definitely a benefit, especially for Yurchenko and big vaults.
Back over to the uneven bars. I believe this is Lisa Clark.
This is Lisa Clark. She does a huge release move. Lisa Clark's very clean on bars. Here she's getting up to do a dismount. She also does a unique dismount. She does a full twisting double back as well with her full twist in the first part, which we'll see here. And a beautiful stick on the landing.
Fans liked it.
Yeah, she's a very exciting competitor to watch.
Let's take another look at the dismount and take us through it a little bit. How difficult is this at the end of a routine?
Oh my goodness, the end of the routine when you're tired. This is a huge dismount. She does a full twist on the first flip, completes a second flip, and sticks the landing. Just beautiful.
Steve Shepard looked pretty happy about that.
Definitely.
Off to the side there. Another solid performance by the Penn State women's team on the bars, and we move over to floor exercise. And coming right at you. This is Cigarelli. We saw him on pommel horse a little bit earlier.
He seems to be a very good event for Michigan so far. We saw a nice mount there. Again, some of the rebounding, twisting movements, which are so common in the gymnastics today. Handspring double front laid out. That's actually named after a chap called Thomas, who was on the Olympic team with in England back in '92, a double twisting laid out front.
Now Signorelli is the fourth person up for Michigan on this apparatus.
Well, that's a 1.5 twisting, 1.5 somersault there. One of the moves I did not like to do when I was a youngster. Yeah, they can do that now on a third tumble, it looks like. So the advances that gymnastics has made is quite incredible. With his press and his hold. And here we go for his final event, his final run. Whip back into a double twist. And a good stuck landing.
Pretty good routine, except for the one break he had midway through.
Yeah, that should score very well, actually. Had a number of difficult elements in that one. Here's the Swede. Okay, one thing that impresses me about this boy, he's got a 397 in electrical engineering, so he's not just a good gymnast, he's one heck of a brain on him too.
Jurker Tadjan on the floor, on the pommel horse for Penn State.
That's a nice Magyar walk up, travels back in, and he's doing some nice one pummel work here. This is something that's also had a lot of advances lately, is a lot of the one single pummel horse work. There it goes again. Yeah, he starts to split his legs if he can hold on there. There we go. Picks it up. This is a big routine, just from that one small break so far. Into his scissor work. Come on, pick it up. Here we go. Travels down. If he can hold on here and get his dismount in, I think he'll be okay with this. A little bit of a weak dismount after seeing a tremendous routine, but I think he's quite happy with that.
He's breathing pretty hard at the end of that routine.
That's a long routine.
That is a long routine. Let's move back over to the bars, and for Penn State, this is Lindsey Borkin.
Lindsey Borkin has a very unique bar routine. She has a few moves in there that not many collegiate athletes do. She has one move that we'll see coming up called the Laumann. She's one of the few that still does it. So is Lindsey's routine. She does a lot of pirouette work in here, nice handstands.
There's
full pirouette on top. It's a nice clean release. Some cast it handstand. Handstands are very important in bars. She hits that handstand, that's the Laumann.
Wow.
And she's gonna do another pirouette sequence here. To a beautiful Arabian double front with a stick on the landing. Beautiful routine.
And that's a young freshman for the Penn State women's gymnastics team, a freshman from Stevenson, Illinois.
Yes. She's done very well this year.
And we're gonna go right back over to the pommel horse, and Luis Vargas of the Penn State Nittany Lions, as you see there, the 2004 NCAA all-around champion. And
yeah, that's the first time since Marshall Abner back in 1973 Amazing accomplishment. I mean, you just can't say enough good things about this kid.
#1 ranked gymnast in the country.
Yep,
on the pommel horse.
Yep, that's right.
And I want to ask you something, Ian. Penn State has had a history of outstanding pommel horse. We go back to Mark Sohn and others. I wish I could rattle them off, but there always seems to be an outstanding pommel horse artist here at Penn State.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of my favorite events. We always had a good team back when I was there, and I think Luis is certainly one of the top-ranked guys here. I think we're going to see quite a routine here. It's usually considered one of the more difficult events. But well, you can see Michigan had a tough time today. So I think if Penn State hits hard here, they could really make a dent in this meet.
You can see a lot of preparation going into this as Vargas takes his time as the judges work out the score for Tadya. But now we see that Vargas is ready to go.
One thing you'll see with Vargas is very, very clean lines. The more extended your body is on the pommel horse, the easier flow you get. Generally becomes an easier routine if you just keep tight. And he's just got beautiful lines, nicely controlled on one pommel horse, doing a number of circles on one handle, Magyar down. Just perfect form. Reverse Magyar, a little bit of a bump there, but really didn't interrupt his routine. He's rushing for some additional bonus points. This is a really very nice, clean routine.
You can hear the hands smacking on those pommels.
Yeah. And generally that's just because he is gripping so hard. That's a good routine.
Wow. That certainly was a dandy by Luis Vargas.
That's why he's ranked #1 in the country on that event.
Well, we mentioned he's the defending NCAA champion. He did it as a sophomore last year, so he's just a junior. Here's a good look at that handwork.
Yeah, there's a close-up. You can just see how difficult that really is. A lot of strain on the wrist. He's gripping hard, and he's straight up to a handstand without any slowdown. That's really good. That's good gymnastics.
Nice routine by Luis Vargas. Over to the floor exercise. Jeff Corrigan is up on the floor, a senior.
Key guy for Michigan, 2.5 twist. Oh, that's a nice opener. Oh, that's too bad. He's going to lose a 10th there. But a very powerful opening tumble run. Goes back with oh, he stepped out again. That's a shame because that's two extremely clean, very nice tumble runs, but he's already lost 2/10 because he stepped out.
They have had a lot of breaks in the pommel horse and here on floor exercise. Is there a point where they could find themselves in a hole too big to get out of? Or is it still too early?
Possibly. I think it is still a little early. I mean, things can change quite quickly. But it does seem that Penn State has the momentum at this point in the meet.
The amplitude on that little move he did right there, does that impress the judges?
Yeah, it's a simple move, but to be able to do it and make it look good like that, it takes some talent. And that's a nice dismount, too, full twisting double back to a stick.
So Corrigan, a very clean routine, except for the stepping out a couple of times.
Yeah, he could have scored very, very high on that. I think he'll get a good score.
Here we have Crystal Uzelak. She's the anchor for Penn State on bars. Gorgeous bar routine. She swings very well. She's actually a 3-time world champion. Nice lines on bars, very clean. Here she does a toe shoot to the high bar. The girls can only touch the low bar with their feet one time without getting an extra deduction. So she does the toe shoot. It's a beautiful double layout dismount coming up. A nice stick on the landing.
Wow.
Gorgeous routine.
And that's a freshman.
She is a freshman, but she has international experience, so she's doing very well.
Great job by Crystal Uzelak. Now let's go back to one more uneven bar routine. This is Cecile Allen.
Yep, this is our senior. She is a specialist on bars, has a very nice routine, very quick. She swings quickly and it flows. Nice hecht mount, uprise handstand. Quick blind change, huge release move right into a shoot. She does her squat on. Nice handstand hit. And coming up, she has a very difficult dismount. She's going to double front, half out, just to step on the landing. Otherwise, a very clean routine.
And you've got a bunch of local folk who are cheering for Cecile Allen, who is from here in State College, Pennsylvania.
Yep.
So there's the scores for George Washington on the vault, a 9.575 with Marcassano, Haworth a 9.65, Gilbert a 9.60, Kaufman a 9.575, Amy Stack a 9.725, and Aiken a 9.675. A better performance by the Colonials on the vault. They did a nice job there.
Yes, they did. Very nice.
Penn State will have what I would imagine a pretty commanding lead after 2 rotations as Penn State's men's and women's gymnastics teams take on their opponents here at the Bryce Jordan Center. We'll be back with more right after this on the Penn State Sports Network. And welcome back to the Bryce Jordan Center. Jerry Fisher along with former Nittany Lion gymnasts Ian Shelley and Aaron Clayton as you get a look at the score after 2 rotations. The Penn State Nittany Lion men's team out in front of Michigan, 73-275. Michigan is 72.500. Ian, you were impressed in watching some of the Michigan floor exercise routines. They hit some pretty good ones.
Yeah, they really came through on floor. We didn't see all of their routines, but looking over, there was I think they caught up quite strongly on that piece. So yeah, it's not over. We've still got quite a meet ahead of us.
And that goes back to my earlier question about whether it was too early to get comfortable.
Yeah, we got a ways to go yet.
If you were Penn State. And let's take a look at the women's scores as we see George Washington practice. The women's team. Aaron, a pretty big lead right now, 97.575 to 94.800 after 2 of 4 rotations. So George Washington's got some work to do, but Penn State continues to perform well.
They do. Penn State's definitely picking up on momentum here, and they should carry it into the next 2 events. Very strong events for them. Now
the men obviously have 6 events. The women have 4. As they move on to their respective, the women's team will be going to the balance beam. Wow.
That's correct.
The Penn State women's team go to the balance beam, while in the floor exercise, George Washington will be. As you can see, a little bit of a warm-up opportunity for the teams here.
Yep, the teams each girl gets 30 seconds to touch on the apparatus on balance beam just to kind of re-warm up and get back into this event.
Aaron, have you seen the momentum that they picked up at that meet at West Virginia last week? Have you seen it carry over into tonight's meet as we talked about before?
Yes, definitely it has. The girls are definitely very excited, very enthusiastic, and you can just tell the energy that they're giving off is going to be great for the next 2 events.
Ian, as we talk about the men's performance tonight, I think we've seen them perform very, very well. Michigan got off to a little bit of a shaky start, but I think it's going to be a tight meet before it's all said and done. Yeah,
2 events down, 4 to go. We've still got a long way to go, and I think consistency all the way through here is going to be the key to winning this meet.
All right, and whoever doesn't have a break here or a break there. And the men's results are throughout the course of this year. They defeated Army, as you see, and then they in a tri-meet with Navy and Temple. They were victorious there. They took first place at the West Point Open. They competed at the Winter Cup when they competed very, very well. And Illinois, I believe, is ranked 2nd right now. As you can see, a very, very tough meet. And I know I talked to Randy Jepson because I was in Illinois the night they had that meet, and he was very disappointed. He said it was probably the most inconsistent meet they had all year long, and they only lost by about 0.5 of a point.
Yeah, I think it was a frustrating run for Randy.
As you can see, the Nittany Lion men's team continues to warm up as the music kicks in. They'll try to get this crowd fired up. And we're looking at Derek Helsby, a freshman from Agora Hill, California. And he's going to be getting set to perform for the men's team. Penn State will be on the rings. Again, an apparatus that Penn State has been very strong with in the past, and all you have to do is look at the head coach, Randy Jepson.
Well, that's right. I mean, I came in 1983. Randy had just finished, and actually Penn State was all abuzz because Randy had just scored a perfect 10 on the rings in Rec Hall against Russia. So obviously he brings a lot of experience, personal experience to this team on the rings. And let me tell you, these boys work hard to get the strength moves. They're in the gym early in the mornings. They do a ton of conditioning, and it really shows. And this should be really good for Penn State.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. As you get a good look at Randy Jepson, the 2003 Big Ten Coach of the Year. And Aaron, Ian was just talking about conditioning and things like that. A lot of people probably just think, well, they lift weights and then they do their strong things. There is more to it than that, isn't there, as far as being a gymnast?
There is, actually. A lot of running goes into training for gymnastics, and a lot of it has to do with just practice nutrition, just kind of your whole life.
Just take care of yourself.
Gymnastics, definitely.
All right, this is Helsby up on the rings.
There's a nice cross into a pull, a Maltese. That's just one heck of a thing to be able to do. Just do a kip. What we're looking for here is multiple strength movements, held strength movements, clean lines, good handstands, control of the rings, and obviously a big dismount. So he's done most of his strength move. He does a press to handstand. Swing back to a handstand. This looks good. Giant swing into a full twisted double back, and that's a nice stick. A great routine to start with.
I was just going to say that's a great routine to start off with. Helsby coming through. Again, just a freshman. How much pressure is on these young guys at this stage of the season, or are they considered almost sophomores by now?
Well, you know, there's a lot of pressure, and I was talking to Randy earlier this week. It was a nice vote. It was a good start for Michigan, too.
Jerry Signorelli.
And Randy is really expecting a lot from these freshmen at this point. This is really a turnaround point for Penn State, and you know, coming out with this win today could be so important for them leading into the NCAAs.
Randy Jepson prowling around, keeping an eye on things. And how much goes into putting a rotation in? Who you want to go first, go second? Is there some psychological things you try to put into it?
There is a lot of thought. I think Randy's more of a traditionalist. He generally goes with his weaker men first, and that's why he relies on some of these younger guys to get the momentum going. And obviously on rings there, that was a good start. On rings, they're missing Chad Buczek. He's got a shoulder injury, and he's only going to be competing floor and vault tonight. And he's their key lead man. He's a 9.75 ring man.
Vlade Klorman for the Penn State men's team up on the rings right now.
Nice mount. Roll to a cross. There's his third strength element. Bounce back up to a cross. Didn't quite get a hold on that one, so there may be a slight deduction. But you can see the sheer strength and the control that these guys have. A bit of a bobble. That'll cost him a tenth. There's a couple of tenths now. He bent his arms. That's a big deduction now. It's the dismount. A little bit rough towards the end. He was a bit tired, it looked like, but still he made it through. And
you can see the expression on his face. He's not real pleased with his routine.
A little bit disappointed. He just looked a little tired towards the end there. So
let's take another look at Klorman.
Yeah, he started off very cleanly. This was a nice bounce through to a cross, but he got a little low there, and that was just too difficult for him to hold.
I would imagine in the still rings, you need to be very confident. If you have any mental break at all, it's going to be tough to continue.
It really is a key mental event.
Good look at Vlade Klorman. Getting some high fives from the fans around the Bryce Jordan Center here. Good crowd on hand. Nice to see all these people coming out on a chilly Saturday night here in central Pennsylvania. Klorman's score was an 8.65, and Matt Cohen are now getting set to go up on the rings.
Cohen, a sophomore all-arounder. He had a high of 9.05 on the rings last season. Looking to improve on that. There's a nice held cross and a strong pull-out. That's going to impress the judges.
It's impressing me.
Me too, to tell you the truth. Yeah, that's one thing that's really changed with the rings. It's just multiple strength elements. I mean, this is about his fifth strength move here. And he used to be able to get away with one or two. Not anymore.
How many are required?
3 are required these days. And pretty much all his routine has been a strength move.
Very solid on his press.
Yeah, this is looking nice. Nice swing, a handstand, minimum pause, giant swing into his dismount, double layout, and a good stuck dismount.
Very nice routine.
He'll take that.
A 9.05 was his highest last year. I'm not sure what it might have been this year, but I would think that routine might be pretty close to, if not surpassing that.
Yeah, I think we're looking at about a 9.2, maybe even a 9.3 routine there.
Matt Cohen finishing up on the rings. Now we're going to slide over to the vault, and Andrew DeGory for the Wolverines is getting set to make his run. Would you like to have vaulted with a vault like they hit now instead of that little skinny horse they hit when you were
Telling the truth, yes, I would. I guess I was wrong on that score there. It looks like he scored a 9.0. But getting back to the vault, yeah, there's just a lot more space on this one, a lot more spring in it. And yeah, it's I think a little bit more comfortable than what we used to use.
DeGiore just set to come down the runway. You can see his teammate coming up and giving him some words of encouragement, his coach behind him.
Powerful run. Oh, that's two back. Kazumatsu with a double twist. That's a very big vault, but of course landed short, and also it's about a 5-10 deduction on that landing.
DeGiore, the third man up for Michigan on the vault. So he'll go back down and join his teammates. Let's take another look at the vault and where he might have had trouble.
Hit a little short at the beginning there, a little bit loose on his body, and really just had no chance of getting to his feet on that one.
A tough one for DeGiore as he goes down. We're going to go over to the balance beam, and for the Penn State women's team, this is Lindsey Borkin.
Lindsey Borkin's a freshman. She's competed in the all-around this year several times. She has a very interesting routine. It's very fun to watch. She does a simple mount, though, here. Coming up, though, she does a front top. Very nice move on the balance beam. A lot more difficult than doing it on the floor. Lindsey has great jumps. She does several jumps in her routine. Very clean, very high.
How wide's that beam?
4 inches. 4 inches wide. She does a very unique series here. She's going to do a round-off layout. And we've switched over to Kate Stopper. Oh, and back to Lindsey. Here Lindsey does nice straddle jump. She's also going to do a tuck 1 1/4. It's a very high level jump, landing sideways on the beam. Full turn requirement. Lindsey has a great beam dismount. She does a round off double back. Looks like she's just tumbling on the floor. Small.
A little bit short, but not bad.
Little chest down, but all in all, pretty good routine.
And again, that was Lindsey Borkin for the Penn State women's teams, and that's a pretty good look at the still rings. And the reason they call them still rings, Ian, is when you're doing your routine as Steve Tobin goes up, the rings aren't supposed to swing. Is that correct?
Yeah, back in the old days, they used to have the swinging rings, but yeah, these days, any kind of movement with the rings can be a deduction. Tobin's a good ring worker here. This is a nice mount to a Maltese. Lowers back, rolls to a cross. Yeah, he just looks strong here. Chip to another Maltese.
It's amazing how effortless they make this look.
Bouncing across. Yeah, it really is. So that's most of his strength elements. This could score pretty well. We've got some nice momentum going on rings here for Penn State. Quite consistent so far. Good handstand position. Forward giant. A little bit of a bobble. There's that swing and that rings. Giant swing. That's a nice double layout. Good stuck landing. That's what the judges are looking for.
Steve Tobin, a senior from Cherry Hill, New Jersey, finishing up on the rings. And let's move back over to the balance beam.
Kate Stopper's here. She's our senior captain. Kate has a beautiful beam. She's very powerful, also very graceful. She mounted with a switch, a very difficult mount. This is her flight series. The handspring layout step out. Very nice. Kate's very graceful on the balance beam. She makes it look effortless.
Does that appeal to the judges, or are they just looking for the tricks, for lack of a better term?
No, the judges do take into account how pretty the beam looks. Has to be aesthetically pleasing. Here's her full turn, a requirement. Kate also does a front tuck. It's just huge. It's a gorgeous front tuck.
There's a time limit on the beam?
There is. The longest routine can be is 1:30 seconds. And you get a warning at about 1:20.
Is there a minimum?
No, there is no minimum. They don't get penalized for a minimum. Kate also does a round-off double back-off beam. It's a very hard dismount. Very nice. Just a fairly large hop on the landing, but great routine.
She should score well?
She should score very well.
Kate Stopper, the other co-captain. We mentioned earlier that the co-captains, Meredith Hoover and Kate Stopper, the two co-captains.
Yes, they are.
Luis Vargas, again, last year's NCAA all-around champion, getting set to go up on the rings.
Skip to a Maltese.
We've seen almost every Penn Stater do the Maltese, I've noticed.
Yeah, it's a big strength element. Gives you a D there, some bonus marks. Vargas on his full strength. That's a nice cross. These days you've got to be even with the rings on the crucifix. It's moving smoothly through this. Good handstand position.
The swing is a requirement as well, right?
Yep, you have to have at least one. There's a nice consistent routine there. Yeah, I think Penn State's really building well on rings here.
Luis Vargas, again, just a junior, winning the all-around championship at the NCAA's last year as a sophomore.
Doesn't show a whole lot of emotion on that. I think he just expected it, did it, and did his job well.
I would imagine if you compete in the Olympics and you compete in international competition, you're used to anything that can be thrown at you.
Yeah, I got to admit, I mean, competing at Penn State was such a friendly atmosphere. So there's 5 of these guys here with international experience, and that really does help.
Coming up on the balance beam, this is Genevieve Shingle for the Penn State women's team.
Jenna is our very consistent beam worker. She has potential to score a 10 on this event. She's very clean, has a lot of difficulty. Coming up here, she has a 3-part flight series. Nice handspring layout.
Now, you had mentioned to me before the meet started that the balance beam was an area that Penn State could be a little shaky in. How are they looking so far?
It looks great tonight. They look very confident, very solid in their performance.
Let's hope we didn't jinx them by saying that.
Jenna's a great beam worker. Here she does a little jump for a sheep jump. It's a very hard jump. She actually throws her head back and does not see the beam, and then has to come back down and land on 4 inches. So a very difficult level jump. Here she does a nice switch leap to a Shushanova. It's a requirement for the girls to touch their bodies on the balance beam at some point through the routine. Here Jenna does a front walkover.
Little bobble there.
Little bobble, slight bobble. She does a unique dismount off the side, a full twisting gainer, nice stuck landing. Very nice routine by Jenna.
Everybody, I should say everybody, so far, every woman's from the Penn State team has hit their routines. There have not been a major break yet on the beam, and we don't want to jinx them. We certainly hope it stays that way.
Yes. Oh, this is Crystal Uzelak, our world champion. She's a freshman. She injured her knee. So you can see it all taped up on her left leg. She has a great routine too. It's a full twisting swing down. Very difficult. Slightly off to the side, but she did well.
What kind of a deduction will she get from that?
That'll be a small deduction because the skill is so difficult and you don't see it often. Crystal's a very beautiful dancer on beam. Very graceful. Here she does a yang bow named after the Chinese Olympian. Crystal has one of the hardest dismounts you'll see in college gymnastics. She does a round-off double pike. A little harder than the double tuck because her legs are straight. Oh, and that would be a fall. She's a little bit under-rotated, didn't get the height she needed.
Quickly over to the floor exercise. You've heard the music in the background, and you're going to hear some more. This is Megan Wilson, a senior from Georgia, competing for George Washington.
Megan Wilson is only one of 2 seniors. She's also the co-captain on the team. And she has great floor. She's a beautiful dancer. She's going to open up here with a double tuck. Nice height, nice landing. You can definitely tell she's into this routine, very showy.
How much is the choreography with the gymnast to the music? How important is that to the judges?
Same as beam, very, very important. The judges like to enjoy the meet and enjoy what they're watching, so aesthetically pleasing routines look great. Oh, that'll cost her out of bounds. She's a very graceful dancer, though. This routine's very pretty.
She had a lot of problems that went the whole way off the floor exercise mat. Is that more of a deduction than if you just step out on the white?
Yeah, she'll get a deduction because both of her feet were out of bounds, and she was a little short on that full landing. So she'll probably get close to a fall. Oh, and there's a short landing as well. Nice cat leap. She's dancing this nicely. That you just saw is a Popanova. You don't see many Popanovas anymore.
That's the first one I've seen. Very nice routine. Let's go to Meredith Hoover on the balance beam for Penn State. And again, as we mentioned earlier, a junior, but one of the co-captains. And if you're an underclassman and you're a co-captain, that says a lot too about you.
Yep, she's actually a returning captain. She was also a captain last year as a sophomore. Meredith's a very strong leader. She leads by example. She's very motivational and very talented. Here, Meredith has a nice flight series. She does a handspring layout. Very nicely done.
And a lot of that noise you hear is from her teammates who you see just in the background standing watching her performance.
Yes, the cheering definitely helps out. The girls use beam cues. They have specific cue words that they talk to themselves. They tell themselves, which helps them stay focused and stay more confident, so it's more like practice. Meredith has a beautiful routine, though, and very capable of scoring a 10 when she hits. Here she has a nice jump combination, straddle to straddle popa. Little bobble on the landing. Mare here does a kick over front. Cat leap kick over front.
Very solid.
Very nice. And her dismount's also off the side. Nice landing.
She seems pleased, as do her teammates.
Looked like a very nice routine from Meredith.
Meredith Hoover was the final competitor for the women's team on the beam. Let's take another look.
This is her dismount. It's a back handspring to a gainer full twist off the side. Nice combination.
All right, let's take a look at the scores on the men's side. After 3 rotations, Penn State holding on to a lead, 110-875 to 109-500 over the Michigan Wolverines from the Bryce Jordan Center. Back with more after this on the Penn State Sports Network. And welcome back to the Bryce Jordan Center. As we told you before the break, the Penn State men's team out in front by about 1.375. After 3 rotations, Ian Shelley, is that a comfortable lead, a good lead? Certainly is not one that isn't insurmountable.
No, it's not. And but I think for Penn State at this point, that's got to build their confidence. Over a point lead at this stage of the game. Steve Tobin. Well, that's a nice. Futrus and Kazumatsu consistently scored in the 9-3, 9-3-5 range last year. It was a nice vault.
Now, what we're looking at here in the vault, you're talking about height and distance from the horse?
Yep, and also these days you see that central line down. They're looking also for a very even landing. So you can see this as a good view.
Pretty good vault, but he could not hold the landing. Santiago Lopez, this is for Penn State.
Yeah, Lopez with a lot of international competitions behind his belt. Yeah, a little bit disappointed with that, I'm sure.
Taking a look at the Penn State women's team as they warm up on the floor exercise, which will be their final event of the night here in the Bryce Jordan Center. Another look at Lopez and see if we can find out where he...
Nice. I mean, that's a huge vault. It's just a real shame. He just didn't quite get his eyes down, didn't quite see where he was. before the landing. A little bit off there, shoulders to the left, and it threw him out of the mat. So a big deduction on that.
Still a smile on his face.
Yeah, he's having fun.
You can't worry about it. You got to move on because you got to get ready for the next event.
That's right. You know, and this is a fun time to be having for these kids. Actually, these meets are great. Good memories from these.
What is Luis Vargas doing there? He's moving something.
He's just making sure that the springboard is lined up where he needs it in front of the vault.
As you can see, the Big Ten Men's Gymnast of the Week, back February 2nd of this year, which was just a couple of weeks ago.
Certainly well earned.
Now, it used to be where you got 2 vaults in the old days.
Is that right? Well, I don't go back that far.
Where was that on the women's side? I know that was the women's side. I'm telling you how old I am. I can't even remember who it was. Now, when did you know when they stopped doing that on the women's side?
They stopped doing that last year.
Just last year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think for men it's always been a one shot. So.
Okay.
So now the men and women are equal.
Yes, they are. Vargas now getting set to head on down the runway. This venue is a great venue for gymnastics. The blue seats, the blue matting around the arena. It's really a very pretty setting.
It's really world class. Good vault. Really clean lines. That's one thing with Vargas. Every routine he does just has beautiful body form.
Now, when you say great lines, when you talk about that, as we look at this coming at us,
just legs together, you know, toes very pointed, the body very tight in the air. And that's what judges are looking for.
The Michigan Wolverines are competing on the rings as we slide right over there.
This is Laurie.
Justin Laurie, a junior from Marietta, Georgia.
Not showing quite the same strength elements that we were seeing with Penn State, but so far not a bad routine. A little bit wobbly on the handstand there. He's got to get those arms locked a little sooner. A little bit loose in his back. That's a big dismount though. Oh, what a showing with the landing. Really big, full twist in, double laid out.
Very powerful looking individual.
Yeah, as Randy said earlier, this guy is chiseled. I think that's an apt description.
Teammates come out, give him high fives, and moving over to the vault, Chad Busick. And for Busick, this is one of his better events.
Oh, it's very powerful. Full twisting double layout.
He didn't seem to get much distance as you look at him grab his left arm.
Yeah, he's actually only doing floor and vault tonight because he does have a shoulder injury. This is one of the key guys on rings. He's a 975 key guy. And it looks like it might have hurt him a little bit.
Right now we're waiting for Krista Perkle to begin her floor routine. Chris is very exciting to watch. She's very energetic. It's a great smile throughout her routine and very upbeat floor music.
How much do gymnasts play to the judges, and how much do they try to maybe sneak a tenth or two by smiling or just by looking very happy out there?
The smile, the wink, anything that can help, anything gets the judges into the routine, gets them happy.
Well, what does the match look like, or the meet look like as far as score goes for the women? Well, the Penn State women's team comfortably out in front with one event to go. 146.350 as you see a couple of happy young future, possibly Nittany Lion women's gymnasts. George Washington at 143.200. They're very happy to be on camera. A lot of enthusiastic fans on hand here at the Bryce Jordan Center as we see Perkle with her teammates getting set. As we have some judges moving around, and that's the reason for the delay. The Penn State men's team getting set to move over to parallel bars, while the Wolverines move over to the high bar. As you see the Penn State, the two seating areas for the two Penn State teams. How much has this sport changed since you competed, Ian, which was just a couple years ago?
Well, it was a few more years ago than that, but...
And there's a legend, excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt.
Oh, look at that.
The gentleman on the right in the tie with the tan coat, Gene Whetstone, longtime coach of the Penn State Nittany Lion gymnastics team. And I tell you, I believe they're going to have an international meet here at Penn State in next month, if I'm not mistaken. That gentleman right there is probably responsible for the advancement of gymnastics at Penn State and maybe across the country as anybody.
Yeah, I mean, from everything you hear, he really did put on a great show. And I'm glad to hear that international meets are coming back to Penn State. I was just talking earlier with Randy. We've got a Japanese meet coming up in a few weeks. And it was 21 years ago that the last international meet was held at Rec Hall, and I actually competed in that my freshman year. So it's been too long, I think.
All right, let's go to Carissa Perkle on the floor.
Carissa just upgraded her tumbling recently in the last few practices, so it'll be very exciting to watch. She's a very powerful tumbler. The first pass is very difficult. She's going to do a round off, whip to a double tuck. She used no hands in that pass besides the round off. It's very nicely done.
This music has to get you pumped up.
Oh, it definitely does. So much energy in it. Here's Chris's second pass. It's going to be round off, back handspring double pike. A lot of gymnasts open with that pass, so for her to do it second, it's a huge advantage. Very powerful girl. It's her jump sequence. Such a great smile. She's really enjoying herself out there on the floor. Chris has a nice jump sequence here, a wolf fold to a popa. Give her some bonus. Here comes Chris's last pass. It's a very nice job of this. Front handspring, front layout, very clean. Nice landing. Beautiful routine by Carissa.
Nice job by Carissa Perkle, the first up for the Penn State women's team on the floor exercise. About 2,500 fans on hand. I'll tell you what, it looks like there's more than that here, but a good turnout on hand for this gymnastics meet here tonight at the Bryce Jordan Center. We move over to the scoring from the vault. And we see that Penn State scores are ranging from 8-9 to 9-5, with Luis Vargas hitting the 9-5, the high score. The total 36.975.
Yeah, they're going to have to eat an 8 there. That'll hurt a little bit, but of course they got a little bit of leeway at this point going into votes. So let's have a look at the score there.
And Penn State has actually extended their lead a little bit by, I think, about 3/10 of a point. They're out in front 147.850 to 146.250.
And when I was talking with Randy earlier this week, he really wanted to be in the first place after the 5th event. He thought that they could take it on high bar. They're very strong on high bar. Hometown advantage going into the last event is really key. And I think at this point, it looks like they might do it.
Well, and you mentioned that Bowman, I believe it was, not competing or Cohen, I beg your pardon. Well, one of the Penn State with the shoulder injury was unable to compete in the bars, and that was a major loss for them.
Yeah, that was Buczek, Chad Buczek, and he's really been sporting a nasty shoulder injury, so he's only able to compete in 2 events.
All right, this is coming up on the parallel bars, Matt Bowman.
Yeah, Matt's a walk-on freshman this year. Has really earned the right to be competing here.
Now, how much of that was something very different.
Yeah, that's something coach didn't want to see either. He's having a little tough time with his heelys. That's a beautiful element if you don't hit the bars. Looks like he's starting to pick up a little bit. He does have nice clean lines. Quite pressed to a handstand. Okay, a little bit of a jolt on the landing there. So looks like he does have a lot of talent. Certainly a little inconsistent on the bars there, but I think he certainly can be looking good for the future.
Well, that's Kurt Bowman. A little bit of a tough routine for him to start things off on the parallel bars, but the Penn State Nittany Lions out in front comfortably on the women's side and in front on the men's side as we go to the next apparatus. Back with more from the Bryce Jordan Center after this. Back to the Bryce Jordan Center on the University Park campus of the Pennsylvania State University. Jerry Fisher along with Aaron Clayton and Ian Shelley as the Penn State men's team taking on the Michigan Wolverines. The women taking on George Washington. Meredith Hoover just completing a very solid performance on the floor exercise.
It's a very nice routine. This is Meredith's second pass. She has a full front pike. She opened up with a very huge double layout on floor. She's a great dancer, a lot of energy, very powerful. Meredith's last pass is a double back. A lot of gymnasts do this in their first passes, and she ends with this.
Does that show the judges y'all have a lot left?
Yes. It's a gorgeous routine.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, Jessica Bastardi, the assistant coach, helps with the choreography with these routines?
Yes, she does. She pretty much does the whole thing. She's a great dancer, too. Really knows how to get the crowd into routines.
And Jenny Orlando up on the floor exercise.
Jen Orlando, great full in. Little bounce on the landing. It cost her a 10th, but this is her second pass. Double pike. Oh. A little low on the landing. Jen Orlando has competed at the elite level, so she has some very high level competition experience. She's a very talented gymnast. She used to compete a piked full in, at the time, one of 2 gymnasts in college in the nation to do it. She watered it down a little bit for the landings, but she's going into her last pass. Is a round-off whip, double twist. A little short, not bad. She covered it up nicely. She has her full turn requirement. All the girls must do a full turn in their routines, at least. A little trouble on her landings, but she stayed in bounds.
Nice job by Jennifer Orlando of the Penn State women's team. Let's take a look at her first pass.
This pass is a full twisting double back. She's second pass, sorry. It's her double pike. She set a little late, came out of it a little late, so she had quite a step back on the landing, landed short.
Nice job. Over to the parallel bars for Penn State. This is Steve Tobin.
Reverse cut. Yeah, a little bit of a bubble there. It's supposed to go up a little bit cleaner than that, but works his way over under one bar. Nicely held. Straight into a Healy. Second Healy into a pirouette. Studs to one bar. Just a little bit of a form break there, but this is a really good routine so far. Good press, controls that well. Had to kind of strain a little bit there, but covered it nicely. We're looking for a nice dismount here. Double pike, just a slight bubble. That's a good routine. Penn State really is picking up nicely here in this event.
9:07.5 for Steve Tobin's parallel bar routine.
It just amazes me what you have to do just to hit a 9 these days. It's tough scoring.
Did the scoring back in the 80s, where you saw so many 10s in the Olympics and things like that, really start to change things around, or has it been an ongoing process?
Well, I think gymnastics has really developed since they made things a little harder. Scoring's obviously much tougher.
Lindsey Borkin, the freshman, onto the floor exercise.
Lindsey Borkin's first pass is amazing. She's the only gymnast in the nation to do it. She's a very powerful tumbler, and we'll see right here. She's going to do a round-off whip to a double lay.
Wow.
Beautiful pass. She's a great gymnast to watch, too. Very exciting competitor. Great smile. She really shows off this floor routine well. Lindsey's a very powerful tumbler. She came to us as a 7-time level 10 national qualifier, which is one of the highest levels you go before college. And she has actually won the all-around in nationals. Nice pass with half front layout, very clean. can see the girls in the background doing her routine, getting into it. Nice jump combination. It's looking to be a very good routine. Lindsay's last pass is going to be a double pike. Oh, that's going to cost her. She flew out of bounds, and she might have put her hands down.
Well, it was an awfully good routine up to that point.
It was a great routine.
And she just had so much power in that last routine, she just flew off.
She's very powerful.
Moving over to the high bar now for the Wolverines of Michigan. This is Justin Lowry.
Justin Lowry now on high bar. This is a big routine. Reverse straddle cut. His giants. I think he does a laid out Kovac. That's pretty impressive. It's a blind catch. Slowing down a little bit. Well, that's a tough. Oh, that's too bad. After doing such a huge release there, to come up with such a simple move and miss that, it's got to be disappointing. So he's going to have to do a big dismount here. Well, that is a big dismount. Double twist and double out. A little bit of a bubble. He's going to be disappointed because that had all the makings for a really high-scoring routine.
And you can see, obviously, he is a little bit disappointed as he goes off. Here's a replay. Look at the height on this dismount.
That's just, yeah, that's a big move. Yeah, he's a little bit disappointed.
It has to be tough, I would imagine, if you have a problem in the middle of a routine to maintain your intensity and realize you still got to get through it.
Yeah, but it's so important in team competition. I mean, you just can't let your emotions get you down. You just got to pick back up and do the best job you can.
Getting ready to step up on the floor exercise.
Lisa Clark.
Lisa Clark. And there's a good look at, we talked about Jessica Bastardi, who choreographs all these. That's got to be a lot of work.
She does. She puts a lot of time into it. Girls coming in extra in between classes, lunch breaks.
Who picks the music? Or is it a collaboration?
Joint effort. Of course, Jess picks what she likes to hear, and then the girls get to choose from that. So we work together.
And she must try to make it fit your personality as well.
Yeah, she does. She knows us all very well.
Lisa Clark on the floor exercise.
Lisa also represented Penn State last year at Nationals on floor as well as vault. She's a very powerful tumbler.
She's the 5th of 6 to come up on the floor exercise for the Penn State women.
Lisa's first pass is a full twisting double back. Great height on it. Oh, just a little bit out of bounds. Can really get into Lisa's floor routine. Here Lisa does beautiful round off back handspring, double twist, immediate punch front. Very difficult pass. You don't see many girls doing that today. It's her lead combination. Second Popanova of the evening. Lisa's coming up on our last pass, which is a double back.
How tired are you at this point of your routine?
Usually you're pretty tired. Your muscles don't want to do it. You really have to tell yourself over and over again. Just one more. It's a great double back. Lisa's a very powerful tumbler. She stands at 5'7", one of the tallest gymnasts. Definitely the tallest on this team. Just great routine, great to watch.
Too bad she had that little step out.
Small step, yeah.
Just a small deduction.
The rest of her team was great. She really pulled it back in together.
That's the end of the fifth rotation for the men. For rotation number 6, Michigan.
This is Luis Vargas on the parallel bars for Penn State. Penn State had a couple form breaks in this on this apparatus. It may have opened the door for Michigan a little bit, but Penn State, as you said, will have the high bar coming up last.
Yeah, and but Luis is just great on this event. There's a peach half turn into a tip out. Beautiful gymnast, he really is. Works his way out into the end of the bars. Peach hands. Oh, into another tip out with a flip out of it.
He virtually traveled almost from one end of the bars to the other. Is that something?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that's very impressive. Judges are looking at that. I think Luis worked a 9.775 at Nationals last year. That's probably one of the best routines in the country today.
Luis Vargas?
Doesn't show a lot of emotion. Let me tell you, I'd be jumping up and down. If I'd done that, I'd be a happy man.
Kate Stopper getting set to go up on the floor exercise. Staying loose. Who's she talking to?
That's Michelle Ill. The girls usually have someone, especially now in the season, it's been going for a while, the girls have someone that they like to talk to before the floor team to kind of keep their mind at ease and keep them relaxed.
She seems loose.
She does.
There's no doubt about that.
Definitely enjoying herself this evening.
There's a good look at the rest of the women's team as we slide down. As you can see them getting excited because Kate is stepping out and just about ready to begin her routine.
Kate's
an amazing tumbler. She does her first pass is just incredible. And a great dancer, really fun to watch.
One of two seniors on the Penn State roster.
This is Kate's first pass. She's a run-up whip to an Arabian double front. Very nice. Kate's been a very consistent competitor this season. She had a rough start at Penn State. She had surgery on both of her big toes where she tore the ligaments for her big toe, not only on one but the other one next year. So she's had surgery on both her right and left feet. Very rare injury.
Wow.
That second pass though was huge. We joke with Kate, she seems to have rocket boosters on her legs. She just got so high.
They did that surgery, they put something in there now.
Perhaps we should all request it. Kate's last pass. She's very clean. Nice front layout, It's a pretty hard pass, but it seems very easy for her. She's a very powerful girl. Great routine from Kate.
We're getting ready to move over to balance beam. This is George Washington's Erin Aiken. She is a junior from Centerville, Virginia.
That was a really interesting mount. Erin Aiken's their only all-around competitor this season. She's very talented. This is her series. Back handspring. Oh, so back handspring layout. She's a little bit short taking off. She had to grab the beam. That will be a deduction. It's her leap series, a requirement for the girls. And a switch leap straddle jump. This season so far, Erin has received a 9.875. It's a career high on balance beam. Nice full turn there. That's also a requirement, it's a front or side skill, and she chose to do a round off. Something all the girls must do. Coming up is her dismount, a front full, a few steps on the landing.
9.15 for Erin Aiken for the George Washington Colonials. As you get a good look at the Bryce Jordan Center, and you can see we were talking about earlier, the blue on blue, and just a bunch of good fans here on hand for tonight's gymnastics meet. Let's take a look at the men's score as we head to the final rotation. Penn State, 184.150, 183.750, 0.4 of a point separating these two top five teams. Take a break. Come back with more from the Bryce Jordan Center after this. Right into high bar routine we go as the Penn State Nittany Lion men's team moves into their final apparatus, and this is usually a high-scoring event, or apparatus, I should say, and Tobin is up there to get him started.
Yeah, this is always an exciting event to finish on. Now, Penn State's going in with about a 4/10 lead. This is the position that Randy wanted to be in. They've just got to hit clean. Michigan has to do a heck of a job on parallel bars. It's not an easy event to finish with, so there's a laid out catch-off. This is a nice way to start. Full pirouette. He'll wind up for his dismount. And that's a solid performance for the first guy up.
Very solid performance.
Just what Penn State's looking for.
For Tobin.
This is dismount, double twist in, double layout. Almost a perfect landing.
Tobin, a fine routine. I believe he might have been the second man up, as Derek Helsby was listed as going up first. So we'll check that for you to make sure we have things in order here. But Tobin has been a solid performer tonight. He's done a nice job on each of the apparatus that he has competed in. He's a senior from, as I mentioned earlier, Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and he is the captain of the Penn State men's team. There's another good look at the close to 3,000 people on hand here at the Bryce Jordan Center. And if you're wondering why we're bringing this to you from the Bryce Jordan Center, it's Thon Weekend, Penn State IFC Pan-Hellenic Dance Marathon, which is hoping to raise over $3.5 million for the Four Diamonds Fund for cancer research for children. That's taking place over in Rec Hall, and that's why last night the Penn State Nittany Lion wrestling team was here with Ohio State, and tonight the men's and women's gymnastics team, as we see Ludwig Kern get set to begin his routine.
There's another guy with clean lines, getting ready for his... Oh, that's beautiful. That's a Coleman. That's a full twisting double back somersault. And there's another Kovac. I used to think the guys that did this were insane. I remember seeing Coleman do it first, and I just couldn't believe it.
You never did that, huh?
No, I was one of the more sensible gymnasts when it came to that. There's a big element there, a full twist into a reverse hand grip. Just finishing up for his dismount here. That's a great routine. A little bit of a bobble, but to catch two big releases like that, that really gets the crowd going.
Now, I'm not saying this to date you. Did you do releases when you competed back in the...
Yeah, let's not get personal here. Yes, we did do releases.
But again, talking about the advancement of the sport.
They're just bigger, they're multiple releases, and they're in combination now, too.
Here's a replay of the dismount.
Ladies and gentlemen, stick around.
Double twist and double layout. Probably a 2/10 deduction on the dismount there.
And the little dowels in the hand.
Yeah, I mean, actually, that came in when I was a kid, and that made all the difference.
Nice routine for Ludwig Kern of the Penn State men's team. Kern is another one of those seniors. He's from Annapolis, Maryland. And on to the parallel bars we go. And this is
he was just completing a bell.
Justin Lowry.
Not sure if we saw that, but that was a giant into a double back somersault named after a German gymnast, and one of the biggest elements on the parallel bars today. And that's a double pike dismount. I think he's going to score well with that one. Big moves on that.
If you're as we go to a replay of Lowry here.
Yeah, this is the bell. That's a super E on the parallel bars, and there's a reason it's called a super E. That's a very, very difficult move.
Back over to the high bar. This is Matt Bowman of the Nittany Lions.
A little bit of a hit on his heels there.
Is there a deduction for that?
Yeah, there'd probably be a 10th deduction. Certainly a lot of elements done in this grip now. It's very, very difficult. He's done most of his routine in this grip. Now he's probably going to start up with his release element here. And maybe we're going to go to just slowing it down, calming down. And that's an unusual dismount. Don't see too many of those. A forward release over the bar. Looks like Penn State's really doing well here on high bar.
You mentioned that Randy Jepson would feel comfortable if his team was ahead after 5 rotations. Well, they were ahead after 4 rotations. They were ahead after 5. And when you're comparing high bar to parallel bars, just by the nature of the sport, I would imagine it's difficult to overtake a deficit if you're on the parallel bars and your opponent's on the high bar.
Yeah, I mean, generally, high bar is a more consistent event for most teams. Penn State certainly does a good job on high bar. Michigan has a tough time here, but it's not spoken for. It's that's certainly not going to help Michigan there with Corrigan just falling from the bars. He's going to need his 30 seconds to compose himself.
You don't see that very often on parallel bars, do you? I mean, people falling off like that?
Well, since they've been working a lot more one-bar work, I think that, that probably makes it a little bit more difficult, and you're going to see a few more fall-offs. It's got to be a lot more precise. There's a Healy.
And this is Jerry Signorelli.
That's Signorelli.
Yeah.
There's dismount, double pike, a little bit low on the landing there. Yeah, and that might take a little momentum away.
Michigan kind of changed their rotation a little bit on us as we go back over to the high bar, and getting set to go up on the apparatus for the Penn State Nittany Lions is Tommy Ramos.
This is an incredibly talented kid for a freshman. He's got a set of arms on him too, doesn't he?
Puerto Rican connection with
yeah, a lot
Vargas.
of international experience.
Yeah.
Just a free hip mount. He widened his arms in anticipation of a beautiful catch-off. Really high. Stoop in, stoop out. Straight into a full pirouette, a reverse grip. And again, this is what we talk about when we're looking at the combination elements nowadays. High bar, that's where you're going to get the big bonuses. This really is a great routine.
Those switching of the hands and the pirouetting, to the layman watching, it's not a real flashy thing, but it is a high. It adds difficulty.
Basically, you've got three grips: your forward, your reverse, and that one. And then nowadays they're doing a lot of elements in that reverse grip.
Nice landing.
Good routine.
Very nice routine for the freshman from Puerto Rico. And we move back over to the parallel bars. And this will be Jeff Corrigan. He is the cleanup hitter, if you will, for Michigan on this apparatus.
He's a good all-around gymnast. There's a peach half turn, straight into another one. A lot of underbar work here, and that's tough. Stitch to one bar.
You can really hear the Michigan men because they are standing right in front of us.
Yeah, encouraging him with every step. So far, he's doing very well. This is his big elements over now. Looking for a good dismount, double pike. Oh, good routine.
Jeff Corrigan for the Michigan Wolverines. The senior from Colorado Springs, Colorado. He wraps things up for the Michigan Wolverines. And now Luis Vargas getting set to go up as our final competitor on the horizontal bar for the Penn State Nittany Lions.
I think he's currently ranked 10th in the country on this event. Usually very consistent. This is the guy you want up at the end, your meat. Stoop in and out, straight into a reverse grip. Coming up with his beautiful laid out catch-off. Pretty much faultless at this point. That was a smooth stoop in, stoop out. And there is that reverse grip. Does the element again.
You have me watching the lines you were referring to before with Vargas.
He's just a beautiful gymnast to look at.
It's like his feet are glued together.
Yeah, real good tight form. This is a world-class gymnast right here. And a beautiful dismount.
Wow,
he's too cool. It's like he just expects it.
Yeah. And I think the fans begin to expect it because he just does a great job. Here's another look at his dismount.
Certainly not the most difficult dismount that we've seen tonight, but probably one of the cleanest. And a perfectly stuck landing.
Very nice routine for Luis Vargas. And there's those hands with those dowels in the palm that keep the hands on the bar.
For the Nittany Lions, Luis Vargas scores a 9.9.
9.9 for Luis Vargas for that routine. Needless to say,
that's probably one of the highest scores in the country this year, I would think.
Well, the Penn State Nittany Lions should have held on to their lead that they had after 5 routines or 5 apparatus, and we'll check it out and find out exactly how the Penn State men's and women's teams fared in tonight's double dual meet here at the Bryce Jordan Center. Back with more after this on the Penn State Sports Network. Welcome back to the Bryce Jordan Center. I think a very successful night for the Penn State men's and women's gymnastics teams, as it looks like the men defeated Michigan tonight in a battle of the 4th and 5th ranked teams in the country, while the women's team defeated George Washington tonight. And Jamie, when you take a look at things here, what impressed you the most about Penn State's performance tonight?
Every event that the girls did was wonderful. They all competed very well. All 4 events, I think we had all hits. I think that the floor was definitely the highlight of the evening. They just have great routines, very energetic, very explosive tumbling, and I was very impressed with their floor routines.
Were you also impressed with the way they performed tonight, considering they were coming off that high of last week with the season high and winning the double dual meet down in West Virginia?
Yes, I think that the high from the meet played a huge role, took the momentum, and just they kept it rolling. Hopefully they can keep it rolling continuing into the season.
Penn State women's team will win this dual meet, and they Penn State coming in ranked up around the 14-15 mark. George Washington coming in not ranked. Not to say that George Washington wasn't a formidable foe tonight, but Penn State was expected to win this.
They were, and I think that attitude helped them relax and be more open and have more fun instead of focusing on the win. They could just go out and do what they know how to do. I think that played a main role in how well they did tonight.
Okay, let's move over here to Steve Shepard, the head coach of the Penn State women's team. Steve, your thoughts on tonight's performance?
Well, I thought we had a decent meet. I was a little disappointed in some of the little mistakes that we made that were kind of uncharacteristic of our team. So overall, it's nice to come away with a win, but we need to make some improvements in some of the areas that we made mistakes tonight.
Now, let me ask a little bit relating to question Jamie just answered. After last week's outstanding performance, were you concerned about a letdown tonight?
I think a little bit, but at the same time, I think that these are mistakes that are not necessarily emotional mistakes or related to having a letdown. I think that they're just mistakes that are uncharacteristic of our team. So,
all right, let's if we get you to look over here at the monitor. Lisa Clark had a nice job, did a nice job on the vault tonight. Could you talk about her routine?
Yeah, she really nailed her landing there. That was a very good vault for her, and I think she was pretty happy with that.
It appears that she is rather happy with that. And then we go over to Meredith Hoover as we get a look at Lisa Clark. But here's Meredith Hoover dismount off the bars.
Yeah, that cost her there, that little fall forward on her dismount. Last week she totally stuck her dismount cold, so this was a little bit of an off night for her. And Crystal missing her foot off the edge of the beam there for her dismount, so yeah, that cost us as well.
Steve, you've got 2 juniors, 2 seniors, 4 juniors, 4 sophomores, and a couple of freshmen. Needless to say, this team is a team that's going to be something to compete with for a couple of years to go.
Yeah, I think so. We got some great recruits coming in next year as well, too. So we're going to be formidable. Right now, our focus is going to be on cleaning up the little mistakes that we made and just getting a few tenths back here and there.
When you take a look at your team and where it stands right now, the score you had last week and the score tonight, your thoughts on where your team is as you get closer to the postseason?
Well, I think we need to continue to focus on consistency. Obviously, tonight was an inconsistent performance for us. We need to focus on our landings. We didn't stick a lot of landings tonight. We had a couple out-of-bounds mistakes, which we can't afford to have that going into the postseason. So we got some work to do.
Well, congratulations on your performance last week and tonight. A victory over George Washington, and we wish you best of luck the rest of the year.
Thanks, Joey.
All right, Steve Shepard, the head coach of the Penn State women's team. As you see, the women's team wins at 195.050 to George Washington's 190.325. And the Penn State women's team, pretty solid performance tonight, as you heard from head coach Steve Shepard. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll try to grab Randy Jepson, the head coach of the men's team, get his thoughts after this. Back one more time to the Bryce Jordan Center as you see the Penn State Nittany Lions defeating Michigan 222.6 to the Wolverines 219.575. And We're lucky enough to have the head coach of the Nittany Lions, Randy Jepson, joining us now in our broadcast facility. And Randy, your thoughts on tonight's match? What do you think? What about things?
Well, you know, there was a lot of give and take tonight. We didn't start off really particularly well, but I'm pleased that we came through at the end of the competition, because sometimes we let those meets get away from us, and tonight we hung on for the victory.
Now, you talked to, you mentioned to Ian before the meet started that you wanted to be ahead after 4 rotations. You were. Were you starting to feel comfortable at that point?
Well, I was feeling more comfortable, but I knew after parallel bars that we really had to come through with some good routines, and we didn't start particularly well there. Fortunately, you know, Vargas came through with a big set, and that got us going into high bar.
And Randy, what do you think you need to do now leading into Big Ten championships and NCAAs?
I'll tell you, we've got to refine floor exercise. We've got to stick more landings. I saw some bright spots in that area. We did stick more landings tonight than we have all season, but still, we could do much better.
What's ahead for your team now?
Well, we're going to prepare this week for Ohio State. We won't have Luis Vargas because we'll have he'll be off to the American Cup. But then after that, we're right into the thick of it with Japan. We follow up with William and Mary, and then, of course, the Big Ten championships and the NCAAs. So we've got a lot of fire ahead of us.
There's no time. Talk a little bit about the Japan meet. It's been a while since there's been an international meet here at Penn State. This is nice.
Really, the last time we hosted a team was Japan, and I believe that was in 1986. So it's been quite a while. We're just thrilled that we get to light up Rec Hall again with an international flavor, and it should just be a great event.
You're going to tap Gene Whetstone for some thoughts and ideas?
You know, I've gone into the bag of tricks, and we've got some special things planned with sets and some gardens and different things. It'll be a great event.
Well, Randy, we wish you the best of luck the rest of the year. Obviously, a solid performance tonight in a victory over the Michigan Wolverines, and it's not over yet. Got a lot of work to do.
Yes, we do, but hopefully we'll get it done.
Okay, Randy Jepson, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
All right, the Penn State Nittany Lions win it on both the men's and the women's side here at the Bryce Jordan Center, and both of them in relatively convincing style. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll wrap things up here from the Bryce Jordan Center on the Penn State Sports Network. Well, a successful night for the Penn State gymnastics teams. As you see, the Penn State Nittany Lion men's team ranked 5th in the country, defeating 4th-ranked Michigan. Final count was 222.600. The Wolverines with 219.575. And on the women's side, the Penn State women's team, a convincing win over George Washington, 195.050. George Washington, a 190.325. Jerry Fisher, along with Aaron Clayton and Ian Shelley, and Ian, to talk a little bit about this dual meet tonight. That's a tough row to hoe that this team has. They go to Ohio State, they take on Japan. It certainly doesn't get any easier for them.
No, but I think coming out of this meet, they've got to have a huge psychological advantage now. I mean, I think other Big Ten teams are going to be taking a look at that big score. Obviously, a season high for those guys, and I think, you know, this couldn't have been better for them today.
Season high score, the rankings. We talked a little bit about this before. Your scores are what ranks you. It's not subjective to somebody's opinion about where you should be ranked as we take a look at the rankings.
Yeah, that's right. But basically, it comes down to the day. Penn State ranked, you know, number 5 at this time. But I think, you know, looking there, if they clean up their floor act a little bit, I think they can be right back in there for competing for the national championships again this year. As we mentioned, Penn State with a 222, but it is the average, as you see on the screen there, that determines where you are ranked. Moving over to the women's side, and once again, Aaron Clayton joins us as we watch the gymnasts do a lot of autographs for a lot of the young fans that are here in the Bryce Jordan Center. But Aaron, obviously this performance tonight by Penn State, as a member of this team, what do you feel coming off this meet? I mean, was this a real good win for this team?
It was a nice win. It wasn't their best meet. They definitely had some mistakes that they need to clean up. And this time in the season, it's, you know, you need to hit. You can't really afford these little mistakes. But all in all, it was a fairly good meet. The girls did what they needed to do, and now they'll just know going into next weekend they'll be able to remember these mistakes and hopefully not make them again. Let's take a look at the schedule here for Penn State. They'll be at Ohio State for a double dual meet in late January, and then moving into March at Arizona State and Boise State. They'll be compete with Rutgers, Temple, and William and Mary in a quad meet here in Rec Hall, and then the Big Ten championships. A lot of action, a lot of activity, a lot of meets before they get into the Big Tens. They've got a lot of work to do. They do, and they have enough time to clean everything up and to make sure that they go into championship season prepared and confident. If you had to pick an apparatus, your coach Steve Shepard right now, what are you worried about? What do you concentrate on? It's kind of everywhere, just the little things, little mistakes, but I guess Beam would be that's the make or break event. A lot of teams can come in having 3 strong events, and Beam makes or breaks who moves on to regionals and then nationals. So.
All right, Ian, Shelley, your thoughts? Great meet tonight.
Yeah, I think they got to be pleased with that. Yeah.
And again, the goal is to get to the Big Ten championships and the NCAA championships. Are they thinking about that now, Aaron?
Oh, definitely. Preparing every day. Everything we do is for Auburn. That's where nationals will be held. So.
Well, you see a great crowd here of almost 3,000 people. We're here at the Bryce Jordan Center tonight as the Penn State men's and women's gymnastics teams win the matches, or the meets, I should say, against their opponents, the Michigan Wolverines on the men's side and the Colonials of George Washington on the women's side. And as you can see, things don't end with the end of the meet. A lot of camaraderie going on all over the floor here. The Nittany Lion enjoying it, seeing some solid routines from both the men's and the women's teams. It's been a good one. The men win it, the women win it on the Penn State side. It's a good night here at the Bryce Jordan Center. So for Aaron Clayton and Ian Shelley, I'm Jerry Fisher. This has been a production of WPSX TV in conjunction with Intercollegiate Athletics. For all of us here at the Bryce Jordan Center, good night, everyone.